Holy smokers, this ain't no dang jokers. I woke up this morning, I shaved my face, and it was a good day in the market, so maybe I need to shave every single day. Public count over $2.1 million here today, and a lot of that is on the back of PayPal stock. That stock's up about 5 to 6% here today, up over $11,000 on PayPal in the public count here today, and then Palantir's up over $4,000 in the public count here today. Palantir's having a good day as well, okay? So, in regards to both these stocks here today, okay, Alex Chris, after the bell yesterday, had a big conference chat with some very important folks from Wall Street, okay? And I'm going to take you through some of the transcript on what he said during that and why all of a sudden today Wall Street's out there buying up the stock versus yesterday, okay? So some big things, we'll go through that and I'll show you exactly what happened there, okay? Today's move is not just because of a random move. This is because of certain things, okay? And then Palantir's AIPCon was here today, okay? Some important information came out of that. I want to share some of that with you guys so you understand what's going on there. I understand not everybody had a chance to watch that and go through everything. So I want to take you through a few of the big moments in my personal opinion, okay? This is a Palantir and PayPal focused video here today, folks. All I ask from you in return, hit that like button down there. It takes less than 3 seconds, and make sure you're subscribed here to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Pin comment down there today if you're looking to apply to join a private group, get access to all my best course curriculums, become a master of the stock market, stock options mastery, millionaire playbook, portfolio management, all that good stuff, plus access to our 6 and 7 figure Discord chat. Pin comment down there, click on that, fill out an application, and level up your game, okay? Alrighty, guys, so first off, this happened after the bell yesterday, okay? Because it happened at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time, which the market closes Pacific time at 1 o'clock. So this happened after the bell. So anything that was said basically was going to move the stock here today, either positive or negative, okay? Now, the interesting thing right off the bat is Alex Chris personally, the president and CEO of the company, did this, conference, essentially. And the reason that's so important is usually when it comes to a company the size of a PayPal, it's usually they'll send like a CFO or a COO or a CMO, somebody like that, like a high-ranking executive, but it's not usually the president and CEO. So the fact that Alex Chris personally went to this Bank of America Global Technology Conference is proof that he is definitely reaching out and trying to shake the hands of these Wall Streeters that ultimately dictate whether stocks go up or down, right? So right off the bat here, okay, very important. He laid out exactly what's going on at PayPal, what he is really focused on. He says the first thing, he kind of asked him, to get started, how things have been. He's in the job about 8 months now at this point in time. He says the first thing was ensuring we had a world-class team. As you notice, I've changed out most of the leadership team. Now, that is key. Why is that key? That clearly shows that Alex Chris honestly was not very impressed with any of the old leadership at PayPal. And he came in from Intuit, a very high achieving company, obviously one of the best stocks in the market for a lot of the bigger tech companies over the past 10, 20 years. And clearly he came in and he saw what was going on at PayPal and he said, you guys aren't quite cutting the mustard. And so he says he changed out most of the leadership team. So if anybody's left from the old leadership team, you really had to be on top of your game. And now I'm absolutely excited with and thrilled with the leadership team that we have. I think top to bottom, my leadership team is now an incredible team and working very well together. And you've probably noticing almost every week now, we're bringing in now in the next layer of leaders underneath. We added a leader to our ad business last week that was, in my opinion, big news that a lot of folks overlooked last week, as well as a new consumer leader that's leading product for PayPal and Venmo. So we're just continuing to build out the leadership team. So that was one. Then he goes in a second point, focusing on, prioritizing what's actually important in the business. Then he goes on to third. It's really around velocity and impactful innovation, right? Product innovation. But I think all three of them, if we were to do a status check 8 months in, if you ask me, would I be happy to be here 8 months ago? I don't think I could have imagined building this leadership team and moving at the pace that we are. So a long way to go, but good start. I think that's important, right? Then this gentleman asks, he says, I think one of the things that the street has appreciated in the short period of time, you've been here from day one, right, or from day one, that the earnings call that basically you're going to focus on profitable growth, right? That's going to be the main thing. And he says, look, every company is at a different stage and gets to decide what their true north and their north star to be. For me, it's now is a time and stage for the company to focus on profitable growth. There's lots of opportunity there for us to continue to fill the gaps of innovation that we've been letting customers down on that can continue to drive growth, but take that number one brand in checkout to continue to grow it, right? And so that really goes to show you, obviously, Alex Chris 100% committed to the profitable growth, but then he's also really focused on customers, and he views PayPal as a company that's been letting customers down for years, right? And he's really coming in and he says, we're going to do better by all our customers on PayPal, on Venmo, on Braintree, everything across the board, right? So he really looks at PayPal as a mismanaged company prior to him taking over and adding this new leadership team. And I just think that's important to understand, like, because when you first get in the job, you kind of have to play it nice, right? Because you don't want to come in and just tear everybody down right away because you might have old leadership still in place, right? There's a transition period. You want that to go as smooth as possible. So you kind of got to talk nice. But now 8 months in, and now that he's got his leadership team in place, he doesn't really have to talk nice. And it's interesting to hear him really just talking about, like, that's a very strong term, that been letting customers down. That shows how much he, really views fixing the business overall, right? And it's incredible the company's been able to grow year after year after year despite what he believes is letting the customers down, right? Then talked about Braintree, right? Which is, whenever they're talking about unbranded, they're usually talking about Braintree, which, if you don't know, PayPal has 3 core segments of their business. They have PayPal, they have Venmo, and then they have Braintree. And Braintree is really back-end payments for a ton of large companies out there, right? On unbranded, this is a processing business that we have established growth in and established a beachhead over the last few years. But now is a time for us to take all that great innovation, the value-added services, the proof points that we put into the market and price to value to ensure that we are driving profitable growth from a processing business as well. So if there's one business he doesn't sound like they've been letting customers down, it sounds like more on the Braintree. It sounds like he's happy with what's been going on with Braintree, but it sounds like he's basically saying, like, we got to make a lot more money than what we've been making from this business. You add on top of that the new innovation that we brought to market, things like Fastlane, that enable us to now delight customers with best-in-class checkout conversion experience. And we believe that's a wonderful opportunity to monetize, as in make money. And then there's the assets like Venmo, which again has tremendous brand growth and affinity with affluent customer base, right? Kind of little shots at Cash App there. They're like Venmo, people that actually have money use Venmo, people that don't have money use Cash App, okay? Little shots across the bow, in my opinion there. Affluent customer base that uses us and loves us on a daily basis, but also a base that we haven't really focused on monetization. And so whether it's debit card penetration, whether it's omni-channel, whether it's pay with Venmo, these are all levers for us to pull here, he says, right? So clearly there's monetization opportunities in this company as well, right? Now, I'm not going to read through this part here because I don't think there's anything earth-shaking here, but I just wanted to illustrate this, right? Look at how well Alex Chris is prepared for this and how on top of his game he is, right? First, he gets asked a question and he's like, well, first, we got to do. Second, third, like that's what you want to see from your CEO. You don't really want to just hear them kind of winging it. You want to hear somebody that's well prepared. They have an answer to every single question you ask, and I'm very impressed by that. And that's also something that impresses big money. Then it's something that impresses Wall Street as well, right? How much easier is it for the merchants to do integrations to get access to next-gen checkout, and any way to quantify that? Then Alex Chris, this is one of the biggest things in my opinion. This is one of the biggest things that was talked about, in my opinion, in regards to everything here, okay? And Alex Chris says, we've taken 2-week integration in some cases and brought it down to 2 hours. Now, the man says, 2 weeks to 2 days, that's impressive. He's impressed by that. Alex Chris says, 2 hours. 2 weeks to 2 hours. Jason says, 2 hours, okay. I got to fix out my nets. Okay, thank you, right? Kind of like amazed that they brought it from, potentially a 2-week process down to a 2-hour process. That's massive. That's Alex Chris and that leadership team really focusing on, let's make things as easy as possible. If we want to create a next-gen checkout experience, let's make sure this integration can be done quickly. It's not something that takes a full day to do or a full week or several weeks to do. Let's make sure it happens in an hour or two, right? That's That's great. That's great progress. That's what you call building great products. And so very, very impressed overall. And that's the stuff that can change your business fundamentally in a very positive way, right? We've seen that with Palantir. We'll get to Palantir in just a moment. But we've seen that with Palantir, right? You know, what used to take them months to show off to a customer, they can now show that off in a matter of hours to these customers. And it's definitely changed Palantir's business model for the better, right? Now, right here, the analyst says, what's your perspective on how supportive the macro backdrop is right now to kind of maintain the stability as to go through the year? And Alex Chris says, our expectation is we're seeing consistent trends as we did in 2023. So there's no real adjustments. We are now a number of months into the fiscal year, and we're sticking with that consistency. And so Jason, the analyst, says, okay, so nothing has surprised you intra-quarter, and Alex Chris says no. So if you were worried at all about something happening in regards to like, big missed numbers or something like that, Alex Chris basically just took that out in that question there. If there was something, you would have gotten something in that response from Alex Chris that would have been a little negative, and there's just nothing there. So which means PayPal's likely hitting their numbers this upcoming quarter and probably is going to hit their numbers for this full year, if not beat those numbers, right? And so that's the way you kind of read through something like that overall. So that takes a huge boogeyman right out of the whole situation, right? Jason says, I want to come back to the ad business. You mentioned it very briefly, but there was an interesting announcement last week. Tell us more about it. Alex Chris, and this is a huge new potential growth vector for the company, past just PayPal, Venmo, Braintree, into this ad business, which could be a massive moneymaker for the company, right? He says, there are very few companies that have the scale that we have in both sides of an ecosystem. So if I think about what merchants and consumers need, merchants need to find customers. They're spending a lot of money right now in really sort of a spray and pray advertising to try to find their next customer, right? That's basically Alex Chris in the gist of this is really saying, no, we can get to your customers without this spray and pray approach in regards to your advertising, right? Consumers are looking to find the best product at the best price from the best merchant and one that they can trust. Those are two sides of a network that are desperately searching through the dark to try to find each other 100%, especially in the internet age, right? We have unique purchase data from those consumers where we can build a profile of what they've actually purchased in their intent of what they're going for, because we see them shopping and we see them what they're actually buying, because at the end of the day, right, you run the transaction through some sort of PayPal product or Venmo product or potentially Braintree, and we can take merchants and understand who their target customer is because we see who's actually buying. And we can provide an ecosystem that connects those dots together. And so bringing in an ad leader, thinking about the data and the profile information that we can start to build for consumers, thinking about how we can leverage the ability for merchants to take that and, with a really low ROI ad spend right now, target it or profile users that they only pay for when they actually convert is really big opportunity for us, in one where, again, I think we're differentiated in the market at our scale and the data we're starting to see, and the merchants are already quite excited to access that, right? So we now have a big time leader in place, and we're excited to see the growth for obviously the ad business. So there's no doubt this has massive potential, right? I mean, through PayPal, Venmo, Braintree, they just have so much data. It's unbelievable on the transaction side, and they're going to be able to monetize that over the coming years, right? Is this something that massively changes growth rates in 2024? No. But is this something that starts to change growth rates in 2025 and then 2026? Yes. And as I spoke about before in regards to this ad business, it's really about the bottom line. Like an ad business is one of the best you can ever run in terms of profitability. And so if you think about PayPal, if you think about Venmo, if you think about Braintree, and you think about all the trillions of dollars in transactions going through on those platforms, right? It's a very low amount of actual profit PayPal makes from it all at the end of the day. Like, there's still a great number, right? But it's a very small percentage of what's actually going through. An ad business can be very different. You could do a very low revenue number, but it's huge to profitability because the margins on an ad business are astronomically high versus being a transaction processor, right? Night and day difference there. So very important, and it can also help PayPal just kind of be an overall ecosystem play in regards to getting in more conversations with, converting merchants over to Braintree and things like that as well. So there's a lot of ecosystem plays here, and that's where I say with PayPal, the thing I love about PayPal is not just the valuation, not just, they got a lot of business, but they have growth levers all over this company. PayPal, Venmo, Braintree, right? This ad business and what that can become over time, and then adjacent businesses. Let's come back to unbranded for a minute. I mean, Braintree has really scaled very impressive over a number of years and is now upward of 40% of your total payment volume TPV. So as you think about increasing the margins there, right? And we talk about a very low amount of money they actually make from that, right? It's a big number, but it's like very low profits, right? Just maybe take us inside some of those pricing conversations with enterprise merchants a little bit. As Chris says, let's talk about the enterprise, really Braintree side of the business. Pricing conversations are never fun or easy, but they get a lot more exciting when you have innovation to bring to the table. And so the conversations we're having with some of our largest enterprises right now is about these. How about the value-added services we build? Here's the value in uplift we can drive in conversion. Here's the improvement we can drive in returns and reducing returns for you. And here's Fastlane, which is now taking access and targeting 60% of their checkout, which is all gas checkout, providing a significant lift to conversion. That's the key. If you're on the other side, you're the merchant, it's all about lifting conversion. So when you put all that together and we have a conversation about pricing, again, no one wants to talk about pricing, but it's a heck of a lot easier to have those conversations. Oh, and so I'm very encouraged with those early conversations, and we're moving forward to price to value, right? Basically, just Alex Chris saying we're helping with conversion, is helping these merchants make more money. And at the end of the day, we got to have some conversations with these folks, and we gotta pay the rent, baby. We got to talk about moving up pricing on these guys, right? And so if you're talking about lifting conversion, you're able to then obviously, right, talk about pricing and be in more of a position of power than if you're not really helping that much, right? Then the analyst talks about Venmo, right, which Venmo sometimes can get lost a little bit because people are so focused on PayPal's, the ad business opportunity now, Braintree, and then we forget like Venmo is one of the biggest services, certainly in the United States. If you look on a daily basis of, what are the most popular apps, let's say on the iOS store, Venmo's up there every single day pretty much, right at the top, right, very close to the top. Let's circle back to Venmo for a second because I wanted to get your perspective just as you think about it over the longer term. However, you might define as what's going on as key to scaling Venmo monetization. In other words, is it going to be pay with Venmo? Is it going to be card products? Is advertising going to get rolled in here? Just how are you thinking about it? I think that's a great question, right? Alex Chris says, the best part for me with Venmo is when you have a large, passionate customer base, you really just need to meet your customers where they are, right? Venmo customers are looking for us to provide a bank alternative for them. They're looking for money in, money out opportunities, and we just haven't provided it for them. Ooh, so where are we taking Venmo there? Are we trying to go and create that into more of an overall online bank? Is that where we're trying to go? An overall financial ecosystem, right? Now, like, where are we trying to go with that? They're getting money in from their friends and family. They're getting money in from direct deposit. We haven't made it as easy as we should. And once that money is in, most of it's exiting because we haven't given them the great opportunities for them to keep the balance with us and be able to spend it omni-channel world, right? And that's where debit cards come in mind. That's where credit cards come in mind. That's where savings accounts come in mind. That's where CD accounts come in mind, right? To keep all the money there. That's where ability to invest. And so that's where it's like, does Alex Chris want to make Venmo into more of a SoFi over time, right? But the difference is Venmo obviously has hundreds of millions of customers, right? So Venmo has such a huge customer base that if they could really do that and execute on that, I mean, my gosh, they could become a very large financial institution very, very quickly in regards to that if they want to go that route, right? So you heard me talk about it. Hey, with Venmo is a great opportunity to leverage e-commerce payments, and we're starting to see great traction there. Providing debit card adoption gives them an opportunity for them to now pay in an offline world, leveraging tap to pay for Venmo, where we can just pull up their phone, right, and leverage the balance that's sitting there to be able to buy anything that they need in the physical world is an important lever. Being able to now provide a return if they're saving balance with us, just sort of mindset that our customers have that we haven't delivered for them. All of those come with monetization opportunities. So I don't feel like we're searching around for what are the monetizationable opportunities. They're sitting there in front of us and our customers are demanding them. We just have to now integrate these into the product and make them part of the flow. As you've seen us start to do, our onboarding flow now includes debit card as part of the onboarding. We didn't have that before. And as we start to bring in that, adoption rates are trending higher. So we just need to meet our customers there, right? So it really sounds like Alex, Chris, and the team, if I'm thinking about where they're trying to take Venmo over the coming years, I think they want this to be an overall kind of like a financial institution. I truly believe that's what it sounds like where they want to take Venmo. I think they want to have debit cards, credit cards, savings accounts, CD accounts, people be able to invest through it, through crypto or stocks. I think that's my opinion on where they want to take Venmo. And they have such a massive customer base that I see no reason why they can't if they want to go there. So the opportunity's there, right? And there's just so many monetization opportunities where you go from there, right? At what point, and we know people are interested in kind of this more online bank. I mean, you see SoFi's growth numbers quarter after quarter after quarter, right? I mean, they're phenomenal. It's clear people are looking, especially the newer generations, are really looking for these opportunities outside of just a JP Morgan, a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, Citibank, and these sorts of traditional banks, right? At what point should the investment community think about it might be reasonable to introduce some kind of new multi-year financial algorithm? Alex Chris says, look, it goes back to disclosure conversation. We are absolutely trying to work once we have confidence that we can get through our transition year, because Alex Chris keeps calling this a transition year, which I'm looking at their numbers. I'm like, damn, if this is a transition year, this is pretty freaking good, man, because these numbers are going to be very impressive this year to consider it's a transition year. To provide you what the building blocks will look like over a multi-year period. So it sounds like Alex Chris will likely come with some sort of long-term guidance, probably at the end of this year or the beginning of 2025. My guess is probably in the first quarter of 2025, they'll probably give a multi-year outlook on top of a yearly outlook. That's my personal opinion on kind of where they're taking the business overall. So I was really impressed with that. Clearly, Wall Street was impressed with that. That stock wouldn't have moved the way it moved today. And it's not like it's a great day in the market, right? Let's go ahead and pull up here and see where these stocks were trading at today, where the market in general was trading at today, because it wasn't like today was some booming day for the market, and yet you have PayPal having this great day here today. So PayPal up 5+%, but look at the Russell was down today. Right? The NASDAQ was down today. I mean, at the end of the day, you told me Russell down, NASDAQ down, S&P 500 down. Is PayPal down? I'd say, yeah, PayPal is down, right? For PayPal to have that strong a day, it was my strongest stock here today, up 5.5%. That clearly shows that Wall Street's very encouraged by what Alex Chris was talking about here today. And so I think that matters significantly. And slowly Wall Street's starting to get this story understood in regards to PayPal, and it's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll come back to PayPal toward the end of this video. Palantir. So Palantir AIPCon today. There he is, Mr. Carp. He's got the belly out. He's got the shirt tucked in, looking good, looking dapper. You know it's going to be a good conference when the man's got that, right? So there's a couple specific. Basically, Palantir had a ton of different folks from different companies go on stage and talk about how Palantir's helping them, right? And I just wanted to highlight a few of them so people can really understand how Palantir is really impacting these businesses very, very, we can call it very positively, okay? So first one up was actually AARP. And the gentleman made a funny joke about kind of like, he didn't know he was going to be the one talking right after Carp. He's like, I would have declined if I knew that was the situation or something like that. He was being funny, right? But AARP, they're talking about they have 37 million members. So whenever you have that many members and you're dealing with, a lot of folks maybe in the older generation, I mean, it's complicated. It's very, very complicated on how you get information to these folks, how you can upsell them or downsell them, and all those sorts of things, right? When you have 37 million members. And so he was basically talking about, our business is very complex. We need a very complex product to have our business be as efficient and as good as possible, right? And he was talking about, they have all their ingested data. They can go ahead and run that through Foundry and AIP, right? So that's interesting. That's why a lot of people say, I don't want to say a lot of people, but a few people that really understand Palantir, they say AIP is really just a Trojan horse for Foundry, right? That's the way a lot of people view of AIP overall, right? So talking about Foundry, AIP, and then that lets them know what's the next best member offer model to give, right? So what's the next best offer to send to our members overall, or to even prospective members, right? That could be very valuable as well. So he talks about it, using Palantir, it enables more dynamic delivery of member value in marketing decisions at scale, targeting our operational model from a static to unified, right, interoperable, dynamic model that will enable near real-time operations at scale. Real-time. So man was talking about essentially before, they would have meetings and then they would try something out for, let's say, 6 months and then see what the results are and then try to look over the results, and then everybody would argue with each other about what's the next best way to go, right? And then they would make some sort of decision. And it sounds a little bit like the spray and pray approach that PayPal was talking about it before, right? And now basically he's saying, this is just like decisions and changes can be made like real time, right? In a matter of seconds, days, weeks if they want, versus, maybe months before, and that can help you make a lot more money if you're a business like ARP and be a lot more successful, right? Then they had this company. I thought this was a good one to highlight because this is kind of, AARP is a very famous company, huge company that, I think most people know out there, especially if you live in North America. But I bet you 99.9% of people never heard of this company before, Northwind, right? This man was talking about, I think they're in a rural part of Wisconsin, if I recall, or somewhere like that, right? And he was talking about maximizing plant efficiency, right? And he's a CEO of this company. And he was talking about industries that they sell into, like pet food, plastics, building products, food and beverage, grain, agriculture, those sorts of things, right? And he's talking about essentially there's big problems in these different industries because labor costs are increasing. We all know that, right? There's wage pressure, has been significant wage pressure over the last number of years. And whenever you're under a 4.5% unemployment rate, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a lot of wage pressure, right? And so that certainly is a problem for these sorts of industries, right? Like, this can hurt your profitability immensely, right? But then also another problem they found was prospective employees don't have the right skills, which means these people are very untrained, that if you do hire them, they don't really have the skills you need, right? And then also issues of high turnover rates, attracting younger people in the industry and things like that. But this is where clearly the problems are. Labor is very expensive, and the people you hire just don't have the right skills. And so that's where Palantir comes in. So he talks about why AIP. Well, he says our control systems essentially give contextual feedback to humans based on processing data from the plant floor, right? And so if you have somebody that's not super trained, well, if there's a system that's kind of like overlooking everything and helping them out as like an assistant, it's kind of like having an extra trained employee side by side with them, right? He says, we believe that AIP platform is the perfect tool for us to help us improve this feedback, resulting in more timely decisions, he says. Our solution, he talks about this Plant IQ assistant, right? Which, like I said, it's kind of almost like having another employee next to you that's been very trained and kind of teaching you stuff, right? And then Alarm IQ. And basically, you can type into the system, let's say, like this specific example he gave here. What are the operator steps required to fill a U-spin, right? And then it spits out, okay, boom, boom, boom. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do, right? And that's extremely helpful because how something like that solved before, you might need a manager to teach you, okay, how do I do this? How do I handle this, right? This he was just talking about, like, basically there was some sort of problem. He was giving this like example of like a problem. Let's say one worker went on a break and then another worker came back in and then adjusted something, but it messed something up, right? And so then you can go ahead and type in the program, like what actually happened here, like why did this go wrong? And the program will essentially spit out an answer telling you, like right here, why did the flour transfer system fault on high pressure? right? And then it gives a whole reason, like, here's why it happened. Somebody adjusted this knob to do blah, 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 right? And this is all extremely, extremely valuable stuff. So then, I mean, because these systems can be very complex, he was showing the systems overall, and it's like, unless you've been in this industry for 5-10 years, you know, a lot of these things you're not going to know the answer to. And so it goes back to this problem he's talking about, right? Of, okay, you can pay somebody a ton of money to help hold the hand of these, you know, first couple year of employees, right? That don't have the skills in the first place to really be on top of this game. Or you can have systems that can go ahead and alleviate a lot of those problems, because, you know, either you're going to have to pay through the roof to keep these employees around that maybe are retiring, or you're going to have messed up systems, which are going to cause all types of downtime and problems. And we know in anything that's factory related, anything production related, if you have downtime, there goes your profitability right out the window. That can completely screw your profitability if you have any sort of major downtime. And it also makes you look very bad for your customers, right? So I think that's very, very important. Very, very important. He talks about the payoff here. He says, Northwind and our customers gain access to very sophisticated AI tools, empowering their employees to make better, more timely decisions, effectively reducing downtime, increasing efficiency, and saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Very important, right? Very important. And he goes even further here, right? He says, we choose Palantir because their products are best in class, which I think is very important. Now, to all of us that have gone down the Palantir rabbit hole, we understand that already. We know Palantir products are best in class, but it's important that these sorts of executives of other companies are then telling the world, like, these products are best in class. Like, you want the best, you go with Palantir, right? I also thought this was interesting. Very interesting. He says, we partner with Palantir because their core values align with ours. It's interesting. Like why even have that, right? I thought that is interesting, because I'm just like, that's an interesting thing to talking about their core values align. And so it makes me think about Karp and all the speeches Alex Karp does, and talking about America, talking about Western democracy and his views on the world and those sorts of things. And so it's just interesting to hear a man like this running a company, CEO of this business in maybe the Midwest. I can't remember exactly where it was, right? Somewhere rural in the Midwest, that maybe has heard Karp talk in the past and is like, I like this guy. I like his views. I like this Palantir company. I like their views and their values and those sorts of things. And so I just thought that was interesting. Very interesting, right? Because it's not something you'd usually see on a presentation like this. So, and the best part is, look at this right here. We win with Palantir because this relationship makes us a better competitor. Well, guess what? If Palantir wants, they can show, other companies in this sort of industry. Here's the results we're getting for this company. Do you want these results? Okay, you don't want these results? Okay, this company's going to kick your butt. Or do you want these results? And so it then becomes like an arms race. And either you can use Palantir and get ahead, or you could not use Palantir and fall behind, right? Amit, what? You'll be flipping my flapjacks. I was not expecting Amit to all of a sudden be there. And I gotta say, man was killing it. Man was knocking it out of the ballpark. I was like, good, well done. Yeah, they had Amit on there interviewing some employees of Palantir and whatnot, talking about the business overall. And I was just like, dang, man, well done. That was awesome. I was unexpected. Like, what the heck? Like, no way. What is Amit there? That's awesome. So the moral of the story here is in regards to Palantir, right? In listening to, and there are so many different companies. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's on YouTube too. If you want to watch the whole thing, right? There was the overall gist of it is Palantir helps you save money. It helps you make money, right? And ultimately, at the end of the day, I always tell you guys, all that matters for Palantir, it doesn't matter how expensive the product is. People think about, their product's so expensive. It doesn't matter. All that matters is you make or save more than you spend with Palantir. That's all that matters. If you spend $5 million a year with Palantir, as long as it helps you save as a business more than $5 million, right? Or make more than $5 million, boom, you won. If it's 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, whatever, you win, right? So it's a win-win situation for Palantir and the customers, right? So overall, obviously, I love PayPal. I love Palantir. These are two very different companies. Both have growth. Palantir obviously has a much more exciting growth story, but Palantir obviously comes with a much richer valuation. So we'll see which one outperforms which over the coming years, but I love being a shareholder of both, and I'm very, very optimistic, right? And people sometimes can get impatient with these sorts of stocks, right? And especially with PayPal, I feel like Lou Manheim in the original Wall Street movie, 1987, right? He says, great things take time. Great things take time. That's how great companies are built. And so many times people want to make all the money right now, and you just got to let time work for you. Let time work for you. It's amazing the wonders time can work for you, right? The public count here today, $2.1 million. It's been built over the last, 6-7 years? Time, right? Time has been working for me over time, and then certain stocks got hit very hard. Look at Meta stock in 2022. It was destroyed. Now Meta stock's by far and away my biggest stock, and we're sitting on, 300% gains in that? It made us, $600,000 or some insane amount just on Meta stock alone, right? Let these things take time, okay? You have all the time in the world. Let it work. Let it work for your advantage, okay? All right, guys, appreciate you joining me. If you're looking to apply to join my private group, that'll be the pinned comment down there. You fill out an application. You get access to all my best courses, Become a Master of the Stock, Market Financial Statements and Stock Mastery, High-Level Company Analysis, Stock Options Mastery, Portfolio Management. I do weekly exclusive videos in there as well, plus you get access to our Discord chat. So pinned comment down there, fill out your application. We'll see if we can get you in there. Much love and have a great day.